Today's daf is daf Kuftes Mishnah on the top of the page. Hamelkabel Sadr. Remember, we learned before that there's an oris where you're a sharecropper and you get a certain amount. A third, let's say, you get, and the owner gets 2/3. Sometimes you get more if you put your own seeds in there. And then you have a chayker, which is basically you give a fixed amount to the balabas, regardless of the yield. You'll always give the balbos the same amount. If you received a field from your friend for a number of years, and Rashi says the number of years means less than 7 years, then lo years at the end of pishton. Even though pishton is more valuable, you get more revenue for pishton, for flax. Nevertheless, lo, you should not do pishton. And the reason is because it ruins the ground. It weakens the soil, takes away, robs it from its nutrients, and it takes 7 years to restore the soil back to its original state. So don't do it. And let's say also there's a sycamore tree, and the sycamore tree doesn't really have any fruits, and the only thing the tree is used for is for firewood or for construction, and it takes 7 years to regrow whatever you cut off. So therefore, you have no right to cut it off. And we're talking over here about a chayker, because a chayker, he gets you whatever you arranged. So he gains nothing from you ruining his land, even if it's more valuable, let's say pishton. But if you be an aris according to Rashi, then you would be able to do pishton, even though you're robbing it from the soil and the land's getting weaker. But we already had expression before: let the land get weak, but let the balabos make more money. So by an aris, it's all relative, it's proportion. Whatever if you make more money that year, he'll make more money, so he's happy. Other Shem actually argue. Okay, then the Mishnah continues. But if you took it for 7 years plus, then you're allowed to do that. The and you're allowed to use the wood for construction because it will grow back in the future. You took the field, whatever it is. Gemara. Because it's a barren tree, it doesn't really grow any fruits. So he has no right to take any of the wood because we just said it takes 7 years to regrow. But during the 7 years, the tree grew whatever size it was when you started. Now it grew. That is shevach. That's shvach. That is benefit. Well, I benefited. I'm giving you back a more valuable tree than you gave me 7 years ago, and that he has a chelik as an oris. But an oris, he has a chelik in that, and the Rava says afilu b'shrach shikunami. He doesn't even get that. No, as Rashi, Abaya holds that even though it's a tree itself, and he only has the right to oris, only has the right to pay this, but because this tree has no pay this, the tree itself, anything that grows, that is the pay this. Therefore, he's entitled to it. And Rava says, no, that never becomes the paytas. That's the tree that became bigger. It's the keren, not the paytas. Makes us a question. Somebody received the field from his friend. And it came time to what do you call it? If he finished his term, whatever his term is, Shomin Loi, we assess. Now, what are we assessing? We assess in order to work out what he owes this person here. What are we assessing? My lab, probably you're assessing what the increase in value of that sycamore tree is, like Rashi says, like Abai says. We assess the vegetables. The obvious question is when the Odis takes the vegetables. You don't assess the value. You take it, you sell it, and you have whatever it is. In fact, if this person is not this person is just took the field to do whatever he wants during those years in the field, then he'll take the crop. It's his fruits. That's what he has the field for, the fruits. But even though it's ripe, there's no point in him taking it. It's perishable, and if he'll take it, he won't be able to sell it. So he won't take it. Now let's assess the value. I'm going to leave it in the ground, but it's really mine. That's what you assess. And we're not talking about a sycamore tree at all, so there's no proof to Abaya. Tashma, come in here, another case. Somebody needs to see the field of his friend. The Gia Shvi is, and more now I was going to explain this brayso until we get to the point of our question. The Gia Shvi is, it came to Yeshmita, Shamin Loi, we assess. We assess whatever it is that he achieved. And the obvious question is, Shemitah become mafkara. Why Shemitah? What does Shemitah have to do? Yovel, the land goes back to the original owner. Now, why should it leave a Shemitah? What's that to do with Shemitah at all? To assess the value of the fruits to give to he's not over yet, his term not over. Ella, Ema, Makabel, Yovel. We don't mean Shemitah, we mean Yovel. No, Yovel, Shamil, Vakati, Yovel, Mi Mafkir, Kablonas, Simus, Amarachmana. When do we say that Yovel takes back your field? If I sold you a property, And the din is that Yovel goes back to the Balibahim. If I lechatchila sold it to you for 45 years, 20 years before Yovel, then you don't give it back Yovel because it says litzmisus, don't sell it for forever. But it's not forever. There's a time limit. So again, since this person had a lease and for a certain amount of time, where does Yovel come in there? What must be talking about? Halakeh sudden. We're talking about halakeh sudden. We're talking about somebody who bought, not somebody that's makabel. That was like some kind of an arrangement with an oris or whatever. No, we're talking about somebody who bought a property. Elavod. Bigi Yovel. Now the din is when it comes Yovel, it goes back. Ishamiloi. We assess, and what are we assessing? All the fruits and everything else. He owned it, so he takes all the fruits and vegetables with him and the grains. What are we assessing? The sycamore trees. If you're going to tell me that what? No, we're assessing all the vegetables that year. The crop is there and working out what it is. Silka v'yiraka b'yevel who doesn't assess because it belongs to no one in Yevel. All the vegetables and everything else belongs to nothing. The beetroots belong to nobody. Elalab, what we're assessing is Sheva Shigma because trees is no Yevel, there's nothing but trees, and therefore that's what we're talking about. Ra'it Shabaya. Amazing. We had this just a few days ago with Amishmo. Targma by leave the Rabbi. You have this all the time. In Bava Metzia, the Rabbi's answer earlier in the Rabbi's for answering Abaya. So this is what try to machlek Hashem Shemayim. That even though Abaya could have walked away and said, I won the argument, he will defend Rabbi. And what's his defense? Shiny Hassam. There it's very different. By Yovel is different because the Amakro. Remember, you made a sale here. And when it comes to a sale, the Pasuk says a custom. The Pasuk says the Yotza Mimker Abayis, it says in the Pasuk, the Yotza Mimker Abayis, it says in the Pasuk, you should leave whatever you sold, the house that was sold, Mimkar Chayzer. Now, what there the Pasuk clearly says, what goes back in Yovel? That which you bought. But that which improved during the years that you owned it, you don't have to give that back. That you have a right to collect. So here we have a mefesh passing by sale. You could take the shebach. Rabbi's not arguing about a case of a sale. Rabbi's talking about a case of an artist where you never really owned it. Lekech mamish owned it. The nigma menei. No, once the trade established, that's how it works there. Let's learn that the same thing everywhere else. Hasam zvina ma'alyu. Over there, you mamish sold it. To Yovel, it was a sale. And therefore, anything that happened to the land is his, because he is outright the cash. Comes along Yovel, there's a cost of no, but now you have to give it all back. So therefore, he has a right to all the improvements that happened during the years that he owned it is his. Well, I could have told you said, all I'm taking away is mimka, that which you originally bought. Anything beyond that, anything above that, you have a right to demand from the meichet for recompensation. But to recompense you. But when it comes to a makabel, when you're a sharecropper, there you don't never own the land. So therefore, anything that grew in the sycamore tree is part of the land. The tree's attached to the land. What's that have to do with you? The Yovel have come to the Malki, and Yovel was able to took away. Now, Papa Kabbalah, the Papa once was makabel land for a certain amount of time with an arrangement. La Safsta. He was going to use it for animal fodder. But what happened was, suddenly palm trees started to sprout out in the field. Kika Mistalik, when his term came to an end, so he came to an end. He said, well, you gave me a land without any trees. I'm giving you back a land with trees. Pay me for the trees. So you want to say that the trees that grew in the land, you want to charge him for, because when you got it, there were no trees. So you want to charge him with trees. Let me ask you. So what happened to Forget about it. Let's say the trees existed already. Let's say the trees existed. But the trees now became fatter and thicker and taller. No, so you think that you would have a right to go and turn to him and say, hey, pay me for the sheva? Not at all. Because you took the field for the fruits, not for the trees. Amalei, he said very simply, over there, I did not go in for the tree, I went in for the fruits, let's say. So if the tree became fatter, why should I get anything from it? Over here, I came in to use the field for whatever I want. So if now trees appeared, that's whatever as part of the thing you owe me.
Who planted it? The original guy?
No. It wasn't there before. This new guy, either on his own or he planted it, but no, he didn't plant it. It just grew on its own. So he says, so what? It seems like you hold like a baya. That tree that grows is not considered the keren, the land. It's considered paytas. What Abaye said that any improvement of the tree you can get to keep. You pass like Abaye. First of all, Rabba was a Rebbe, not Abaye, and generally pass like Rabba. So Papa says back, I feel tame because Rabba. Hasam, you know why Rabba argues there with Abaye less like Seder. Didn't cost you anything. You had to do whatever you had to do. You were noticed, and the sycamore tree, grew more, grew and grew. Didn't cost you anything, so why should you get a chelik in that? That's part of the tree. Oh, but wherever these trees are going, I cannot plant what I wanted to plant. I took it for a safsita. I couldn't plant because the trees are there, the roots are there. I couldn't do anything. So it caused me a loss. So compensate me by paying me for those trees. So he said, so she said, says to Papa. So what are you complaining about? What's your loss? You're complaining that you could have planted the fodder, that little cheap thing there. Okay, don't take the value of the trees. You can only take the value of your loss. And your loss is far less than the value of the tree, so we'll compensate you for that. Who said I wanted? I took it for a safshna, but we learned before you're allowed to change it if it doesn't in any way weaken the soil, and you're allowed to change it, especially if Rink is the balabas. If there was an Oris arrangement, he'll be very happy, and even if it's a Chakira's arrangement, doesn't make a difference to the balabas as long as he gets his fixed amount. I was going to plant saffron. Boom, that little spot there, I was going to plant saffron, and saffron is much more valuable. Almost as she said to him. So Gol is a daitach. So you just revealed you weren't going to plant apple trees there, and then you'll say, "Oh, because those palm trees there, I couldn't plant apple trees." You were going to plant something that you're going to harvest every year that you can take with you. Gol is daitach. The mishka was to look about it. You were going to plant something there that you're going to take. Take whatever was there as if you took it away. Now, when you take these palm trees and you take it away. What's it worth once you take it away, cut it off the ground? Nothing. It's like firewood. So or construction, whatever. That's all you're going to get paid for. Zeal ain't you only get the money of the wood itself. So you're not entitled to get what if you would have planted. No, but as the Ravid says, if he would have said I wanted to plant trees that bear fruits, not whatever it is the hardly bore any fruits, then he talked about a taina because it's a word and you took it away. But because he said I want to take something that I can take with me. Then you're getting taxed. So take these trees with you, and all it is was firewood. Rabbi Barai accepted. Also had arrangement of land, but had delay mishunisa. There was rocks, boulders all around the land, and kadocha bezradita, and they started to grow certain plants, whatever, certain things, vines, whatever grew on these rocks, and little trees, whatever. He come when he was leaving, when he finished his term, well, when you gave it to me, there was nothing growing on these rocks, and now there are. I want my improvement. I'm going to puppy me. Very sharp words. That puppy said, "Mishum da asisa memuloi," because you came from a cut-down family, which is Elia Cohen. Remember, Abaya and Rabba both came from Elia Cohen. Rabba passed at Rosh Hashanah. Rabba passed away at 40 years old, and Abaya lived till 60 because he was Torah Angimel Chasadim. And he said, because you come down from a cut-down family, Amritum milim you say cut-down things. Klatnishka, what you just said. I feel it at Papa. Even my brother at Papa. Lo yamar ela di islay pseida. He only said it because he said he had a loss. Well, you can plant things on the boulders. Nobody plants things on boulders. So what it costs you nothing. What right do you have to it? You only had a right to pay this. It's not pay this. Rabbi Yisrael had this person who planted vines. Now, this is different than an oris. A shatola is an oris is you have already existing vines, and he comes in and he tends to it, and then he harvests it, and so on and so forth. But a shatola is someone who plants the whole vineyard for you. He does much more than just taking care of it. He plants the whole vineyard for you. In fact, the din is not allowed to fire him because he has a chelik in the whole thing because he planted from scratch. Plus, he's an oris. So Ahush Shatola Shachriv, he died. He died in the middle of the Shavik. Hamisha Chasvinosa. He left behind 5 Adams on Kest. Omar, he said, Ade Itna, the owner of the field, said, Tula, Chad. Hash the commission has to be with 5 people. Ade Itna, Lahavi Samchadad. Till now, there's only one person there, so he couldn't rely on anybody else. He took care of everything from Aleph to stuff. If you never called me a lawyer, he's a good, diligent worker. Hash the Chamisha, the problem with having too many workers is Samchu Hadadi. Each one relies that the other person will do that. It's like they should for. Everybody thinks the other person whatever do. Umafsidly, I'm going to have a hezek. Amalus, he went over to the children or to the sons-in-law, and he said, If you go ahead and I'll pay you for your father, whatever he did in the middle of the year, to the improvement he made so far this year, and then you go by resign, fine. I'll fire you anyway. If you're making if you want me to go take your dentator and I have to fire you, I'm going to fire you because I can, because I never hired you in the first place, but you're not going to get a cent for your father. This person who died, you can fire them and you don't have to give them any improvement. Whereas interesting. Rabbi never said it. It's interesting. They never said it, and he gave three different names to make it sound really real. Rabbi Yehuda, some say Rabbi Huna, some say Nachman. Never said it. But nevertheless, he was just exaggerating. The din is he can fire them. He was just exaggerating to put the fear in them that they should realize that they should let him go, that they should resign, and that's it. Ahusha told them, they said to him, he told them to go without shevach. Yeah, but not because of Yehuda said it or anything else. He's not mechuyt to give them shevach. They don't yasher the shevach. And then the Rishonim talk about how it's different in case if a father borrows an animal and the father dies, the father dies, the kids can continue with it. Why should it be any different? And basically, by shoyel is kol hanor shaloi. It's like Shas Mais is totally his, so the children yasher for that period. Anyway, right? I wish I told them. He said, he said to him, he said to him, this Shatala said to the Balabos, if I cause any loss to pre-existing, let's say, vines, if I cause any loss, misalkina, you can fire me. Normally you can't fire me because I have like a chelik in the whole thing. I'm not more than just an oris. But I accept, I'm going to resign, or you can fire me. Afsi, so what happened was he caused the loss. I want to be the establish vacha. So you fire him, plus you don't have to give him any improvements of that year because he caused you a hezek. And I've kind of a mistalik v'shakol shvacha. You can fire him, you still have to pay him for whatever improvements he made over there. But if he added a clause, he added a clause that pasidna. If I cause a loss, you could fire me without any shvach. He goes that way without any shvach. Rabba says no. Asmachti, even though he said that, it didn't really mean it because he was sure that he would do the right thing. And Asmachta lekanya, and we already said before, when you say something you're sure it would never happen, then Asmachta is not kain, and therefore you still have to give him the shvach. If a guy says, "Okay, I'll take the land, and if I don't do any work this year, I'm going to pay you as if I did the work," and why is that Asmachta? There he's taken. What he would have grown, that's what he has to pay. Here also, when I say you give him the shevach, he caused a loss, but he also made an improvement. He damaged some of the trees there. So you deduct that which he damaged. You don't deduct the whole shevach. That part saying deduct the whole shevach, that's a smachta. You deduct, let's say he lost you $50, you take off $50, and the shevach was $200, so he gets $150. And the rest you give him as the shevach. Runya. We have him a number of times in Shas. Shatal Ravina, but he was the one who worked for Ravina. Actually, he caused them a loss. Salke, he fired him. Also, he fired without a warning. And like in Australia, you have a warning. You have to have 3 warnings. What did he do to me? He fired me. He did the right thing. Did he give me a warning? That certain jobs that we don't have to warn. And a teacher, according to Rashi, the problem with the teacher is we will have in Babas in second Pedic, that even the all Shabash, even the all a mistake. Once you taught, we'll learn the whole story there with Yoav, why he only killed the males of the Amalekim because he thought he read it. The teacher told him Zachar Amalek instead of Zecher Amalek, so he thought it was only males, and that's why. So a teacher, once you get a carb in your cup over there. A mistake, it stays with Rebbe. Taisus just totally agrees because the Rav himself says over there that that's not given the whole. The Rav says the Mela it goes away. Therefore, Taisus learns it's the time you spend teaching wrong shot. That hour you can never make up. You can never make up Talmud Torah. Whatever you miss, you miss. Other Rishonim say it actually means that the teacher smacks too much, too strict. And they don't spell it out, but what it means is that it makes for the rest of their life the kid doesn't like to learn. He lost his geschmack because you ruined it, and so it's a thing that you can never take back. I wish my teachers when I was young learned that. Let me tell you, those are training. Shatola, it's if he ruins the grapes, he can't fix it up. A tavcha, a butcher, or sheikhet. He ruins, he can't fix it up, and why not? What do you mean? If he gets paid, he gives the money back for the animal that he ruined. So what do you mean he can't fix it up? So the Rishonim say an interesting thing. Mugi Yosef says that the pshat is because you embarrassed the host. He sat down, he invited all these people for a big suda, and he had nothing to give them because you traced up the animal because you didn't shut it properly. But then the Mugi Yosef says also your own shame. So there's a shame for the guest and your own shame. I guess maybe because you have the guests and it casts aspersion on you, and you invite all these people and you have nothing to feed them. But
There's always a chance that that's going to happen in the church on its own.
No, we're talking about a case where he ruined it. It wasn't
a chance. Well, boss has to know. There's always a chance.
That's true. Okay.
There's a shortage of animals.
Possibly true, but in this case, looks like it was like the guy was full. But umna could be either a doctor, or here Rashi says umna means a moil, irreversible. The Sfar Masa means a sefer for the city. Either he's a sefer of Kodesh or he does all the documents. And if he makes mistakes, he can ruin Ksubas, he can ruin Gittin, he can ruin everything. These are irreversible mistakes. That's what Shulchan passes. However, and we add one thing, and in the Rishonim, which I ignored and say, and that is, you have to, the Ravid says it has to be a musik. In other words, it had to happen 3 times. If it only happened once, it's not musik. It had to happen 3 times, or one warning. 1 warning or 3 times, then you're Musar. All other instances looks like you that's not what that wouldn't be called Musar because then what's a chiluk? All other instances maybe you have to give 3 warnings, so maybe you have to do something more.
Does the warning have to come after it happens, or a warning?
How can you give a warning before?
The
pashtus is after it happens. But the guy said, "Well, he used to be the woman." I mean, l'chayda. Just like we have a generally, a warning has to be correct to the dibur of the aveda, otherwise you forget. Well, the milsa. The rule is, Kol Pseider Lahadar, any Pseider that you cannot reverse, Ahu Shatol Lamalu, he said to him, Havli Shavchoi. The guy said, look, you can't find me, but give me my Shvat. So I'm going to go there to Sol. Right in the middle of the season. Also came up Papa Shmuel. Now the Gemara is a little complicated in mathematics. Came for the Papa Shmuel. He said to him, Havli Shvachi. Took it in Torah. I want to get my Shvach up to this point. And Papa Shmuel Paskin Taka, give him the shach. It sounds like giving the shach for the whole year. The whole shach. The owner doesn't get a chelik in the shach. I mean, it's his land. You can't grow it in the air. Papa Shmuel said, "I know how good the shach come in." I meant, he get his entitlement half. Have a shock about by Paugum, Vishatola Paugum. So the Balabas said, one second, it's not fair. Because I'm going to have to hire an artist. So let's say Rashi used an example of 6 and the Rif used an example of 12, but the idea is it's $6 worth. Let's say 6 dinner worth of pay to say. And I'm entitled to 3 and you're entitled to 3. If I give you 3, and I'm left with 3, I have to hire an artist, and artist gets 1/3 of the value. An artist will get 2 out of 6 is 2. I'll be left with 1. What kind of cheshbon is that? Adi never talk about palgavish. I told the palgavish one gets half. Hash to boil the mason, and not so for my portion, ladisa. I'm not getting my half. Why should I? Amalei, so he paskin riva de shvachim. Give him a quarter. Now, what exactly does that mean? We'll see in a minute. So, but I was saying about you. So to say riva dahu danka, a quarter which is a 1/6. And it works like this. You have 6 coins. You have 6 dinim worth. 1/3 of 6 dinim is 2. So you hire an artist for 2. That leaves 4 dinim left for the balabas. Now the balabas was supposed to get 3. So Abbas gets 3. He only has 1 dinner left extra. That 1 dinner he gives to the shatala. Only that 1 dinner. Which 1 dinner is a quarter of what is left, which is a 1/6 of the total. That's what he thought. The place he gets half a of patilsna, and the other gets 1/3. Look what I just told you. High shatal, the boy is looking wants to leave. We give him the shevach, and we send him away. We have to make sure the balbas doesn't have a loss. Now, how's that work? If you follow the Rashi's formula, which is what? A quarter, which is a 6. Shocking, it makes sense. If you're going to say riva mamish, if you can say it means mamish a quarter, 1.5. If you give this guy 1.5, so that half comes off the balbas al cheshbon. So instead of the balbas getting 3, he'll only get 2.5. So he's losing out. Ahu danke shapir, and this guy's leaving in the middle. And this guy's not like a poil who's allowed to leave in the middle we had before, but this is a kabbalah. This is totally different arrangement. Eliyahu, even mamish a quarter, kamatul ipsil balabayis palganan. He loses half of a dinner, a half of a 1/6. Okay. Why can't the Shatala say to him, Ant menasa de loch havle larisa? No menasa de li, might be a bit by what I can what do I want? So the way this is the way the Mephosh understand Pshat and Rashi here. Others know differently. And that is, he says to him, look, the whole thing is worth 6, right? You're entitled to 3. I'm gonna so you have like a half the field or whatever it is. I'm gonna give you an extra 1.5 out of the remaining 3, so you're gonna have 4.5. You're gonna hire an artist for your share, a third of the total 4.5. So it'll cost you 1.5. You'll end up with 3. I'm gonna get 1.5 for my chelik. I'm gonna get 1.5 for my chelik. I can do with my chelik whatever I want. If I want, I can be my own artist. I can do whatever I want. I can sell it to somebody, and it's up to them what they want to do. I'll sell them the 1.5 dinim, and they can either do it themselves, hire an artist. So I'm giving that back to you as well. So I'm going to end up. So no, another one I'm giving back to you. You have to have an artist to take care of the whole field, and I'm going to end up with 1.5. That's how they understand Rashi, which leaves a little bit more hesbit to it. But yet the Gemara says, Amakim. So Rashi says back to him. You know that says in the Hagdama of the Aruch HaNer, Masechta Krisus, I think it is. He talks about the Zohar says, "Hine ani reichav al chamoy." So ani Zoshatevis, Eilvin, Nida, and Yuvamis. And he said these 3 Masechtas Mashiach will come with, whatever that means in this. So they say in the Shivish world, they say that these are the 3 most difficult Masechtas in the Shas: Eilvin, Nida, and Yuvamis. Amazing Gemara right here. Omar, remember this Gemara here. Omar Avashi said to me, you know what? Kimotis l'shchitas kachim. When we get to Masechtas Vachim, Tova actually asked me then this very question. Why Masechtas Vachim? Look at Rashi here. Rashi says, Kimotis l'shchitas kachim. Hikartibach, I can tell, you're very smart, you're very sharp. You know how to ask deep questions. So when we get to Zvachim, shehi amuka, that is a very difficult Masechta and very deep. So actually ask me then, because my head then will be in a much better space. The etin level I'll be able to answer you. Nothing to Zvachim. This is a din in Bava Metzia. Even Bava Bas or whatever, no, I have to learn Zvachim. So Rashi says here that Zvachim is the deepest Masechta. Not sure exactly why, but it's the deepest Masechta. And then when my head is trained to think that way, I'll come up with an answer on your question here. And then Rashi says the Yeshem is another pshat that the Chuyi Matchi was just playing with him. But then Rashi says it's a brilliant question. If you look in the other Shayim and say it's not a question at all, and you're just playing with him. But Rashi says that Zvachim is the deepest Masechta that we have in Shas. Okay, there you have it. There's Gemara Goof. Analyze. Let's repeat what he said. In a place where he gets half, Barisa tills from the others gets a third. Haisha told the boy, look, if he wants to leave in the middle, given the Shvach, we send him away. Balabai shouldn't lose. Amar Rabban Yuma said, the same person, that what happens, Kupa, Sava, Palgaf. Let's say you have vines that aged. So now, what do you do? What do you do with vines that age and hardly grown the grapes? You use them as wood, as firewood, whatever you use them for. So the Shatol is entitled to that as well. That's the paytas for that year because it happens all vines; they don't last forever. So since the Shatol gets a chelik in the paytas, that becomes the paytas for that season because there's no grapes. So that's the paytas. But that's common and you expect that. That's like part of the deal, even though we didn't speak about it. Shot for nada, but let's say something abnormal happened, that the water came in and ruined the grapes, and now all you have left is wood. Is river. You only get the quarters. Just like the guy leaves in the middle of the season. This is like a mid-season thing. It's unnatural. When we made an arrangement, we never expected this to happen. So therefore, you're not entitled to the full chelik. We'll only give you a quarter in this case. How got with the person and why you tout anything could very well be that this will ruin the next year's crop as well because there's so much water there, the land is saturated, you can't grow any vines. So therefore he's entitled to something. How got with the person, the mashke pardes lechavre, he gave a pardes, let's say a vineyard to a friend as a mashkin. Now remember we learned before in Azanesha different kinds of mashkinas. One is called mashkanta l'suda. Your guy owes $1,000. You know what? You can have my field for 10 years. Every year automatically $100 deducted. At the end of 10 years, you get back to me. I owe you nothing. That's called mashkanta l'suda. It's not ribis because it's like a full sale. Then we have another one is mashkanta bin chiyosim. That every year we deduct a little bit from the fixed amount because we deduct from the loan. as of the rent. Anyway, he lived for 10 years. The kosh l'chamishnim. But what happened with the trees? Remember, all he has is really the paytas. But in 5 years, some of the trees dried up, and all you can do is really the firewood. Abai, I'm a payda. Abai said, well, in that case, the wood is considered paytas, and therefore he can use the wood as firewood. And Rabbi says, karnave. No, trees are always trees. You only have a right to fruits. A tree remains like before we had the Gemara. The sycamore tree, what it grows, is not considered paytas. It's a tree. The yucca bekarka, what do? You take it, you sell it, buy other land, and the only he's the right is he has a dividend is the paytas. Makes like a question. The tree dried up, or it was cut down. Shneim asurin. We're talking about in a mashkin. They're both awesome. If the tree dried up or the tree was cut down, they're both awesome. Kate said, yeah. So what do? You sell it. You sell the wood for someone else who's going to use it, and with that money, the Yilgum Karki, you buy a new Karki, paid us, because he owns the mashkin. Who gets to keep it? The owner of the land or the mashkin? Neither of them can use it. So you sell it, you buy other land, and anything that grows out of that, the paydas belongs to the lender, the mashkin, and the land itself eventually goes back to the borrower. My laughs will say comparing the two. You have a doing the nixes. Man nixes bismani. Just like when you cut down, generally a fruit bearing tree you don't cut down. It's also about tashkis and dangerous, and also because generally you don't do that. You only when you cut down a fruit bearing tree when it no longer yields any fruits is af yabish bismani. We're talking about drying up bismani. And yet Uktani it says, Abai said before, now you can use it that the tree itself is paytas. And yet it says clearly here, you could make like Rabba, that you cannot eat the tree is never considered paytas. It's only Kevin. Nix is the other way around. Nix is dum the yavish. It dried too soon. My yavish below is man. It dried prematurely. Nix is below is man. It cut down prematurely, and that's when we say that since it's prematurely, it's not considered paytas. You have to buy more land. But if it died natural when you anticipated, it's paytas. Toshma, one more toshma. Nothing look at finding grapes. Let's say a woman who got married. Her father died, and now she has a rusha of grapes. Bezeitim olives. The zakanim, old ones. Yimachru, the old ones are hardly bear any fruits, and the husband gets a paytas. So what you do is yimachru le'etzim, sell them someone else to use as firewood. And the husband will eat now the dividends, the paytas. So the chayda see clearly from here. The chayda died a natural death and says, cool, you cannot use it. You have to sell it and use the land. Not like Abai said that this now becomes the paytas. Amos said, why'd you say vihiskinu? Not that they were old. Vihiskinu, they became the age prematurely. And that's why you cannot use the branches as paytas. But if it was normal, aging, then you could. Or you might say, Malavni Akim Lahi, didn't we already say that in the Miksuvas? We're talking about a case where these vines, her father rented someone else's land and planted the vines on that land, so they have nothing there. And if you are going to take these vines and if you're going to take these vines and cut it up and use it for firewood, what's you going to have left in Yerusha? Nothing. The whole kettle will be destroyed. We don't want to leave nothing for Yerusha. In that case, we say, you know what? Go ahead and buy land. Even though we learned before that if you rented a donkey for somebody and then the donkey dies in the middle, you can sell the carcass. If you're not around, sell the carcass and use that money to rent another donkey. I call you karna. There's nothing left now for the owner of the donkey. So there, the Shai already explained, we had before, that over there is talking about really you're supposed to buy another donkey. So the owner should have something. But in a place where there's no donkeys to buy, or there's not enough money to cover buying a donkey, then you have no breda, you're stuck in the middle of nowhere, then you have a right to go ahead and rent. But stamazay, we don't, that's not how you do it. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll see you tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem. Have a good